everyone. I'm Dana Guthrie with District 7570. I'm here with a wonderful team of people tonight. Diane Woodson, our District Grants Chair, Mike Quillen, our Global Grants Chair, Nate McClure, our Polio Plus Chair. And we're here to talk to you about our Rotary Foundation. The Rotary Foundation is the charity of Rotarians. And it's our pleasure to be here on World Polio Day, and Nate will talk about World Polio Day a little bit later. And the reason I asked Diane, Mike, and Nate to join us is so you can see where your annual fund share dollars are going. The annual fund is the primary source of funding for all Rotary Foundation activities. Your gifts strengthen peace efforts, provide clean water and sanitation, support education, grow local economies, save mothers and children, and fight disease. The Rotary Foundation is all about doing good in the world. How does it work? When you make a donation to the annual fund share, 50% of the money at the end of 3 years goes into our district designated fund for activities like global grants, district grants. Some of the money goes to Polio Plus, and then the other 50% goes to the World Fund, which helps global grants worldwide. Every Rotarian every year is when individuals contribute $25 or more to the annual fund share. And each club should have a goal of 100% every Rotarian every year. And according to Amber, each of you who have paid your dues have contributed $50 so far for the annual fund share. So as soon as the money is sent in, you should get a tax receipt from the Rotary Foundation, and you will qualify for every Rotarian every year. Sustainer is someone who contributes $100 or more to annual fund share, and your club does have a goal of 100% sustainers. Once she sends the money in February, after you've given your second $50, you will qualify as a sustainer to the Rotary Foundation. And your club's annual fund share goal is $500, and you have achieved $125 so far. So when individuals give to the Rotary Foundation and your club gives to the Rotary Foundation, that all counts towards your annual fund share goal. For every dollar you give to the Rotary Foundation, you earn a point to give away to someone else to help them become a Paul Harris Fellow or multiple Paul Harris Fellow. And in November, the District 7570 will have a points match where if you give $125, between $125 and $1,000 to the annual fund share, we will match it with the equivalent amount of points. So for instance, to become a Paul Harris Fellow, it takes $1,000 or 1,000 points. And so if you gave $500, we would match it with another 500 points, and you would become a Paul Harris Fellow.
I'm Diane Woodson, District Grants Chair, and I'd like to spend the next few minutes talking about service through district grants. Before we leave this slide, I did want to mention, you'll see two names on here, both with the last name Woodson, Diane and Joseph. If you're wondering who Joseph is, that's my baby boy that just turned 26 days ago. And he is the one that turns my ideas into wonderful PowerPoints. District grants can be a little bit of work or a lot of work, and you might wonder why should you consider spending your time on district grants? Several reasons. First, they allow you to do good in your community, and that's however and wherever you define your community. District grants projects helps you attract new members. When the public goes by and they see people in all their Rotary shirts and they're cleaning highways and doing all kinds of projects, somebody might say, I'd like to be a member of that club. And that's the kind of member we want. The third reason is seeing your foundation contributions at work. Dana talked about how the foundation contributions work. Personally, I always feel better about giving if I have something tangible, if I can see where my money's going, I feel much more motivated to contribute. And changing lives is the final reason. Rather than talking to you about changing lives, I'd just like to show you a few snapshots of grant projects. And the one we're looking at now is from the Johnson City Evening Rotary Club. And their project was providing shoes to homeless students through their Back to School Shoes project. You can see the smiles on their faces. They do a they do a grant project every year, and they do a great job. We talked a little bit ago about doing good in your community, and that your community is wherever you define it is. It doesn't mean it's within a 2-mile radius of your home. In this case, the Forest Rotary Club felt that their community included women and girls in Burundi, Africa. And you can see 2 pictures here. The top picture has the grant recipients, and the bottom picture shows members of the Forest Rotary Club. And we see our own annual giving chair, Dana Guthrie, in there. And when you think about the impact of improving hygiene for girls and women, just think about girls trying to learn if they have no choice but to miss 3 to 5 days of school every month. That's really good. Any of us, especially that have children, know that that's a huge impact on your learning. And because of the work done by the Forest Rotary Club, that doesn't have to happen for some women and girls. In this picture, you'll see the food pantry from the local community college, and this is a project done by the Henry County Rotary Club. Community colleges are kind of near and dear to my heart. I think they fill a very valuable need in our community. My son attends our local community college, and a couple things I think about with this picture. One is, if you see how beautifully these products are displayed, it shows a lot of care and respect for the recipients. And the second thing I think of is, again, like with the women and girls in Burundi, if you're food insecure, if you're hungry, that can't help but distract and detract from your ability to learn. So again, another grant project well done. I'd like to shift gears a minute and just give you a snapshot of how the grant projects work. First of all of the funds are matching funds from the Rotary Foundation. And there are 2 types of grants. One is a single club grant, and that has a match up to $4,000. The other type is collaborative grants, and that's where it's more than 1 club. The maximum match for 4 or more clubs is $12,000. I'm thinking this club is very familiar with collaborative grants because you're involved in one right now, the Healing Strides Arena. And I'm just so excited and proud for this club that very soon after your existence that you're participating in a collaborative grant. So kudos to Amber and to all of you. And I wanted to mention also, sometimes, I try to emphasize the maximums, and some people think, well, I don't have a project. I have an idea, but I don't need $4,000. There is no minimum. There are many worthy projects that are $300 or $500, $200. And I always try to remember that dollar spent is only one measure of the effectiveness of a grant. Certainly sweat equity is another major factor. So if you have an idea for a grant that doesn't require a lot of funds, please don't hesitate to still put in your application. If you're wondering how do you get involved in a grant, there are several ways, and I'm thinking particularly about e-club members. First is that your club can participate in a collaborative grant, and that's the Healing Strides Arena is a great example of that. The second way is your club members can participate in other clubs' projects. I realize that all of your members don't live in the Roanoke area, so I think it would be great if you go and get involved in see what other clubs are doing, and I'm sure they will welcome your help. And the third way is your club can apply for its own grant project. I realize that might not be the easiest for an e-club, but I feel like you all are very creative minds, and should you wish to do that, you're certainly welcome to apply for your own grant. Wanted to leave you with how do I learn more. If you go on to the district website, www.rotary7570.org, that will tell you a lot of things that will help you get started. That website has, if you go under the What We Do section, that's a tab, you will see guidelines, applications, templates, and historical data. And certainly members of the grant committee would be available to help you. But if you want to start doing some browsing on your own, that's a good way to get started. Couple tips. One is when you go on the website, don't log in, because then you won't be able to see the What We Do section. And the other thing I try to tell all the clubs is when you're applying for grants, it needs, a lot of times people are doing it at the last minute. You really want to be diligent and remember that you want to be persuasive in selling the committee on why your grant merits an award, because we typically have more grant applications than we do funds available. Just to circle back to the presentation Dana gave, and Dana, by the way, is my best friend. I like to spend money. Dana likes to generate income, so we're a good team. All the funding for district grants comes from donations to the Rotary Foundation Annual Fund. So that's my plug for Dana and her foundation advocates. They do a terrific job always keeping the importance of foundation in front of us. And that concludes my presentation on district grants.
I'm Mike Quillen, and I'm your District Global Grants Chair, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit about another way that your annual fund giving does good in the world, and that's through global grant projects. Global grant projects are typically somewhat larger projects than district grant projects. In fact, they do have a minimum budget of $30,000, and they are structured so that a club or district in an area with a need that needs to be addressed within our areas of focus can be done so with the help of an international club or district providing some of the funding and helping with some of the preparation for the application and carrying out the project. The projects are, our district, we should be very proud of for the number of projects that we carry out and participate in. And next we'll have a list of just some of them. These are just a few of the recent global grant projects that have been carried out with the help of our local clubs or the district. Several are water and sanitation projects, and you will probably hear and have heard from Amber so much with her trip to Africa, and with Walter Jones, who probably has worked on as many global grant projects as anyone in Rotary. It's just phenomenal what he's done in Ghana and elsewhere in Africa. And two of the projects that are listed, the Fighting the Opioid Addiction Crisis and the Mobile Vision Care Project, are somewhat unique in that they're being carried out in our district. So Rotary funds are being used to address needs in the Area 1 in the northern part of our district and in the southern part of our district. So global grant projects aren't necessarily overseas. They can actually be right here in our backyard. The projects that are funded by global grants are either humanitarian projects, the typical project, or vocational training teams that can be assembled and can have support for travel to teach communities and other parts of the world medical skills or how to use medical equipment that's being provided. And finally, scholarships, again, with our district being at the forefront in providing scholarships programs through our Skelton Jones program, which is a presentation in and of itself. This shows just how pervasive global grant projects are. This goes back the year before last, the Rotary year, during which there were over 1,300 global grants awarded for projects. And you can see under areas of focus the number of projects, with the most being disease prevention and treatment projects and water and sanitation projects. And just a mention about the funding and how important annual giving is, because it is our annual giving funds that go to the Rotary Foundation. And 3 years after those funds are given, half of those funds come back to our district as what's called district designated funds. And those funds can be used and are frequently used to help with global grant projects that clubs in the district are working on. And half of the funds from our contribution share goes to the World Fund, and that's the source of the Rotary Foundation match of other funds for projects. So I would say that as a rule of thumb, probably somewhere between 65 and 75% of funding from global grants is really from the annual giving funds that have been converted either to district funds or to the foundation's own World Fund. This will be real quick. I may even skip this, but global grant projects require an application that is submitted online to the Rotary Foundation, and there is no deadline each year for filing an application. They can be submitted at any time, and it's entirely done online. And I will say it is very comprehensive, and the staff at the Rotary Foundation do look to see that and act as great stewards of Rotary funds to see that the projects are feasible and will be long lasting. Thank you so much. And you can find resources on global grants at My Rotary, the Rotary International's website, by going to the Foundation tab and then to the Grant Center. All sorts of resources there for you. And thanks. Great.
Well, I guess that's my cue to take over, and good evening. I'm Nate McClure, District Polio Plus Chair. And today, as was mentioned earlier, is World Polio Day. The reason World Polio Day is always on October 24th is that's when in commemoration of Jonas Salk's birthday. He was the one who developed the first polio vaccine. Before he released that, polio epidemics were commonplace in the U.S. In fact, here's one that happened in our district. There was a significant outbreak in Whipple, and it made national news. There is a polio museum in Whipple. So if you're ever in Whipple, stop and take a look at it. Polio was first documented in 1894, as you see there. In 1929, the iron lung was developed, which made a major difference. And then in 1955, Dr. Salk invented, or his vaccine was declared safe and effective. In 1960, the oral vaccine developed by Albert Sabin was in 1988, the Rotary International got involved and launched the Global Polio Eradication Initiative in partnership with World Health Organization and others. In 1988, when the Rotary Polio Plus effort started, there were 1,000 new cases a day, polio, in 125 countries. Today, we're down to, there are only 3 countries where polio remains endemic. And one of those, Nigeria, hasn't had a new case of polio in 3 years. And Nigeria and the entire African continent will soon be declared polio free, assuming there are no new cases. You see here what the picture looked like in 1988, and there's what it is now. Right now, this year there have been 88 cases, which is up significantly because of some issues in Pakistan. You may have heard about the circulating polio vaccine-derived cases, and what that is a weakened, because of the poor immunization status. Sometimes people are susceptible to the live vaccine that's in sewage and so on. Here you see that where both the circulating and wild polio cases are. The brighter color is the wild polio, and the other is the circulating virus. Here you see the numbers for the year. it is what it is. But we've made tremendous progress. And today, on World Polio Day, the World Health Organization announced that one of the three types of polio has been declared eliminated. And there were three types of polio: type 1, 2, and 3. Type 2 was eliminated several years ago, and now type 3 has been eliminated. So we're left with one type of polio virus. And what's significant about that is that it makes the creation of the appropriate vaccine much easier. The task is very daunting. You know, as I mentioned, the challenge in the areas that are left are extremely challenging. But what happens is that every year, through the national immunization days and other efforts, 450 million children in 40 countries are vaccinated for polio. That's what your dollars are funding. You've heard about the AFM, which is a polio-like, the symptoms are similar to polio, but it's not polio. It's a virus that they're still working on isolating it. The good news is that it's generally not as severe, and people recover from it. Another challenge we have are the anti-vaccinators. Remember back to what happened this past winter with the measles outbreaks, where somebody with the measles came over and ended up in places in the U.S. where the children hadn't been vaccinated for measles, and we had a tremendous outbreak. That could happen with polio. That's a major concern. Rotary is a place where you can laugh, learn, and leave a legacy. You get to be part of your legacy will be that we will have a polio-free world, and it's only the second disease to be eliminated. So we need your help. We want to make the world polio-free by 2023. It's Rotary's top philanthropic object initiative. Last year, we raised over $50 million, which was matched 2-to-1 by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So that $50 million became $150 million against the fight on polio. There you see the exact results. You in this district did a fantastic job. We raised over $50 per member. We need to keep it up and keep on fighting. These are our goals for every club to contribute. We're asking for a minimum of $35 a member. That's in addition to Dana's request. The district has already transferred $44,000 from the district designated funds. But we need your help. We can do it. We have a Facebook webpage, Rotary 7570 Polio Plus. Please like it and watch for the latest news available. I'd like to leave you with this quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. That's what it's all about. And with that, I will turn it back to Dana. Thank you very much.
All of you are improving, connecting the world through your donations to the annual fund share. We really appreciate all that you do. Thank you for supporting the annual fund share. All contributions to the annual fund count towards the following recognition opportunities: every Rotarian every year, which is $25. Sustaining member is $100. Paul Harris Fellow, $1,000. Paul Harris Society, $1,000 commitment per year. Major donor, $10,000 or more, and Arch Clumb Society, $250,000.
And if you have any questions for this group of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life who have the biggest brains, their contact information is here. And if you need any further help, just let me know and I can get you in touch with them. And with that, I'm going to say goodnight, and I hope all of you guys have a great week.